Have you ever felt the fear of illness like a shadow weighing heavily on your mind? It's not just a fleeting thought, but sometimes it feels like an uninvited companion, quietly whispering things that make your heart race. Perhaps you've woken up in the middle of the night, anxious about a sudden pain, or wondered if your body is silently turning against you. If you're nodding along, take comfort, you are not alone. Today, we're going to walk through that fear together, not by running from it, but by facing it, understanding it, and finding the inner strength to overcome. Welcome to this journey. I'm here to share 5 practical ways to overcome the fear of illness, steps that will not only lighten your heart but also bring a profound sense of peace. These aren't empty platitudes, but tested methods blending science, psychology, and a touch of life's philosophy. And to make this feel closer to home, I'll share the story of Michael, a man once held captive by the fear of illness, but who ultimately found light in his own darkness. Before we begin, picture us sitting together in a cozy room, soft light streaming through the window, with the gentle rustle of leaves outside. I want you to feel safe, heard, and ready to explore. Fear, no matter how big, is just a part of being human. And today, we'll learn how to make it a teacher, not an enemy. Way 1, embrace fear as part of the journey. The fear of illness isn't something you can banish with a snap of your fingers. It's like an uninvited guest, knocking at your door at the most unexpected moments. Some feel it when reading an article about a disease. Others are jolted by it after a routine health checkup. But here's the thing, the first step to overcoming fear isn't pushing it away, it's inviting it to sit down, looking it in the eye, and saying, "Alright, I see you. Now what?" Embracing fear doesn't mean surrendering. It means acknowledging that you're human, and humans sometimes worry. Science backs this up. A study from Harvard University shows that resisting negative emotions, like fear or anxiety, often makes them stronger. Suppressing emotions can increase your heart rate and trigger the body's stress response. But when you accept those emotions, saying to yourself, "Okay, I'm scared, and that's alright," you release the pressure they create. Think of Michael, a 42-year-old man who lived in constant dread of cancer after losing a close friend to the disease. Every headache, every bout of fatigue, convinced him it was a sign of the worst. He told me that at first, he tried to ignore the fear. He filled his days with work, jogging, anything to avoid thinking about it. But the more he ran, the tighter the fear clung. Then one day, Michael stopped. He sat down, closed his eyes, and asked himself, "What's really going on inside me?" That was the moment he began to embrace his fear. He didn't pretend it wasn't there. Instead, he let himself feel it, the racing heart, the shallow breaths, the jumbled thoughts. He said to me, "It was like I opened a door, and instead of darkness flooding in, I saw light." Michael started writing down what he felt, not to solve it, but to listen to himself. And the miracle was, when he stopped fighting the fear, it began to lose its power. So how do you start embracing fear? Try this: the next time you feel anxious about your health, take a minute to breathe deeply. Place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat, and tell yourself, "I'm scared, and that doesn't mean I'm weak. It just means I'm alive." Let the fear be there, but don't let it lead. You might imagine it as a frightened child. Instead of scolding it, hold it, soothe it, and say, "It's going to be okay." When you embrace fear, you open the door to the next steps. It's like clearing a rocky path so you can walk more easily. But embracing is just the beginning. How do you avoid feeling alone on this journey? How do you find companions who understand you without judgment? Imagine standing alone in a dark room, the fear of illness like invisible walls closing in around you. But then, someone opens the door, carrying a small candle. The light doesn't banish all the darkness, but it's enough to show you a path, to remind you that you're not alone. That's the power of seeking support from those around you. Now, let's talk about way 2. Finding support from a community or support group ***, a door that leads to deep healing. We've learned to embrace fear, But even when you've made peace with it, it can creep back, whispering questions that shake you. Am I doing this right? Am I strong enough to get through? This is when you need someone, or a group of people, to remind you that you don't have to walk alone. Because, humans are wired for connection. We weren't made to face the dark by ourselves. Let's return to Michael. After starting to embrace his fear, he realized that keeping everything bottled up only made him feel heavier. He told me about one evening when anxiety surged again, and he sat in his living room, staring at his phone, wondering if he should talk to someone. He feared judgment. He worried others would think he was weak or tell him to stop overthinking. But then, Michael took a chance. He found an online support group for people grappling with the fear of illness. With one click, he entered a world where people understood him without needing long explanations. At his first meeting, Michael just listened. He heard a woman share her anxiety about doctor visits, and a man describe how he learned to live with his fear of heart disease. Michael told me, it was like looking in a mirror. They didn't just get me, they gave me hope that I could get through this. From there, he started sharing. He talked about sleepless nights, the times he obsessively checked his body for signs. And each time he spoke, the fear felt a little lighter. It didn't vanish, but it was no longer a burden he carried alone. Science supports this too. A study from Stanford University found that sharing emotions with empathetic people triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone that reduces stress and boosts feelings of safety. But how do you find these people? Start with what's closest. It could be a trusted friend, a family member, or even a colleague. You don't have to spill everything at once. Just say something simple, like, lately, I've been worrying about my health. Have you ever felt that way? You'll be surprised how many people open up in return. If you want a safer space, try support groups. There are plenty online, on platforms like Facebook, Reddit, or forums dedicated to mental health. If you prefer face-to-face, many hospitals or community organizations host meetups. Opening up isn't easy, and you might think, what if they think I'm weird? Michael feared that too. But he said, the people in the support group weren't there to judge. They were there because they were searching for light, just like me. So take a small step. Join a meeting, listen, and let the warmth of empathy wrap around you. Picture yourself sitting in a circle, surrounded by strangers, yet each one carries a story like yours. Someone shares, and you nod because you understand. That's the power of community. But connecting with others is only part of it. How do you listen to yourself, diving deep into the tangled emotions within? Imagine you're sitting by a river, the water sparkling under the sun, and your thoughts, your fears, your anxieties, float like leaves on the surface. You don't try to stop them or let them sweep you away. You just watch them, and slowly, they drift out of sight. There's something magical about letting your mind be heard, be released. Now, let's explore Way 3, journaling to release emotions, a simple yet powerful way to calm your mind. We've talked about the strength of community, but there are moments, especially in quiet hours, when you're alone with yourself. Thoughts about illness can grow loud, chaotic, like a small storm in your mind. Journaling is a silent friend, always ready to listen without judgment. Let's revisit Michael. After finding comfort in his support group, he still had days when his mind felt like a maze. He wasn't ready to share everything with the group, not out of shame, but because some thoughts were too private. One evening, when anxiety about cancer flared up, Michael grabbed an old notebook and a pen. He wrote, "I'm scared. I don't know why, but I'm scared." And then, the words began to flow. Michael wrote about sleepless nights, about scouring the internet for symptoms. He wrote about his friend who passed away, the pain still lingering. As he wrote, he noticed patterns in his thoughts, that every time he felt tired, his mind leapt to the worst conclusions. "Writing it all down helped me see clearly," he said. "It was like drawing a map of my mind. A study in psychological science found that writing about negative emotions can reduce activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, creating distance between you and your thoughts. How do you start? Find a quiet spot, grab a notebook, and begin with a simple sentence. Today, I feel, don't worry about grammar. If you're stuck, answer, what scares you most? When does the fear show up? Michael wrote letters to himself, sometimes to his lost friend, and through those words, he found peace. Journaling isn't just about unloading. Write about moments of strength, days you pushed through fear. Michael noted days he felt grateful, a sunny morning, a chat with friends. Those words became small flames, reminding him life was still worth living. When you write, you're telling your own story, becoming the guide. But how do you keep your mind in the present, avoiding worries about the future? Imagine sitting on an old wooden chair, facing a sprawling field of grass, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of earth and sky. In that moment, you're not thinking about tomorrow or dwelling on yesterday. You just feel your breath, steady and alive. That's the power of mindfulness, a way to soothe your mind, to anchor you amid waves of anxiety. Now, let's dive into Way 4, practicing mindfulness to manage anxiety, a tool to find stillness. We've learned to journal, but sometimes, your mind still gets pulled by what-ifs. Mindfulness helps you ride those waves instead of being swept away. Back to Michael, while awaiting blood test results, his mind spiraled. A friend suggested mindfulness. Skeptical, he thought, meditation. How can that help when I'm this scared? But he tried. He sat, closed his eyes, and focused on his breath, counting each cycle. At first, he managed only a few minutes. But he kept at it. Slowly, he realized, when I focus on the present, thoughts of illness feel farther away. A UCLA study shows mindfulness reduces anxiety and boosts emotional control. To start, find a quiet place, sit comfortably, and focus on your breath. Feel the air enter and leave your body. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Try this for 5 minutes. If meditation isn't your thing, mindfulness can be small moments, noticing the warmth of a teacup or the feel of your steps while walking. Michael began noticing sunlight, the feel of his shoes while jogging. Those moments reminded me I'm still alive, he said. Mindfulness creates space between you and fear, like standing on a shore watching waves come and go. But how do you turn fear into strength? How do you find meaning, not just for yourself, but for others? Imagine standing on a hill, gazing at a lush valley below, feeling you found a greater purpose. There's something magical about not just overcoming fear, but becoming a light for others. Now, let's explore Way 5, finding meaning through helping others, a way to transform fear into strength. We've learned to embrace fear, find community, journal, and practice mindfulness. But the final step is realizing your story can inspire. Michael, having made progress, still needed a reason to keep going. In his support group, he heard Sarah share her anxiety, recognizing she was where he'd been. He shared his story, sleepless nights, steps he'd taken. Sarah thanked him, saying he gave her hope. For the first time, my fear felt meaningful, Michael said. It was a bridge to connect with others. A University of Pittsburgh study shows altruistic acts improve mood and reduce stress. You don't need grand gestures. Share in a support group, listen to a friend, or volunteer. Michael didn't wait to be fearless to help Sarah. Helping gave him strength. Think of someone you could inspire, even with a kind word. Let's recap the 5 ways to overcome fear of illness. 1. Embrace fear so it doesn't lead you. 2. Find community to avoid walking alone. 3. Journal to release emotions. 4. Practice mindfulness to stay present. 5. Help others to find meaning. Each is a step, and you don't need to do them all at once. Michael did it, and so can you. Which have you tried, or want to try first? Share in the comments, your story could inspire. If this video helped, hit subscribe and the bell. We have a mental health playlist waiting for you. Thank you for joining me. No matter how big the fear, you carry the strength to conquer and heal. See you next time, and until then, take care of yourself, one step at a time.